Ghana, a stable political environment within the West African sub-region with established democratic institutions and systems to ensure good governance in the country. Strategically located in the center of the world with easy access to EU, US, South America, Asia and African markets. Tema Port, a developed seaport with duty-free imports on manufacturing equipment. With an ongoing renovation and expansion, the port is aiming to transform into the largest shipping hub for West Africa. A world-class airport designed to meet the latest International Air Transport Association requirements. Ghana has international standard logistics infrastructure to local, regional and global companies, with modern road infrastructure giving easy access to West African market of over 370 million population. Over 60% arable land and 336,000 irrigable land available for commercial farming, presenting expanding opportunities in agro-processing. Producing oil in commercial quantities since 2010, and the introduction of more sustainable sources of power significantly increased the country's energy sources. With a mobile penetration rate of 79.94% and voice penetration of 132.44%, the highest number of fiber optic points in the West African sub-region, and the fintech industry worth over $32.49 billion, Ghana's ICT sectors ensures the highest quality of global connectivity. Ghana's growing consumer market is providing compelling reasons to invest in the services sector. Modernized healthcare, which is second in Africa and fourth in the World Health Governance Capacity Index. Ghana is committed to its education development with the aim of producing a well-educated workforce. The country is focused on housing and infrastructure with existing demand of over 2 million units nationwide, with a robust ecosystem of fast-growing banks, non-banking financial institutions, and a well-established stock exchange.
I have a major challenge this morning. Actually, I have two challenges. I'm usually not good at speeches. I'm very good at presentations, but today I'm going to do a speech. So bear me if I fumble here and there. But the bigger challenge I have, leading the investment drive into Ghana, and investment by both domestic investors, international investors, Ghanaians in the diaspora and all that, is that Ghana ticks all the obvious boxes and more. And ticking those boxes therefore means that we have absolutely no business not attracting investors to Ghana. Ghana is a country with a population of 29 million, and we are the second largest economy in West Africa, a sub-region with a population of some 367 million people, of which more than 234 million are English-speaking. Additionally, Ghana was arguably the fastest growing economy in the world last year at 8.5%. And we look to echoing that again this year. And as Michael just said, last year we were able to attract $4.9 billion of FDI from $3.7 billion in 2016. And indeed, per the World Development Indicators, our share of the continent's FDI is 10 times greater than our share of the sub-Saharan Africa's population. Therefore, there must be something about Ghana that you just cannot avoid. And I'm indeed very happy that we have a full house here. That means we've been able to attract people with keen interest in what the country offers. So let me start, first of all, by talking a little bit about the UK investment in Ghana, as the Vice President mentioned earlier. Between September 1994 and September 2018, the total sum of UK investment in Ghana, as documented by the GIPC, was in the region of $6.258 billion US. It sounds like a big number, but I'm not satisfied. I think we can do much, much more than that. And as we engage the UK in many more ways than one, I believe that we have great opportunities coming over. We've had UAK dignitaries pass through Ghana, quite a number of them in the past 2 months. 2 weeks ago, the UK-Ghana Business Council was set up with very dignified and high-level people, with the Vice President chairing it. So we do mean business. Indeed, the largest single investment from the UK is a total of 5.25 billion in the manufacturing industry. The next 2 destinations for UK investors have been in construction, that's about 560 million, followed by the service industry, which is about some $500 million. UK investors, very much like most of you here, have put their hard-earned money down 5 other sectors in Ghana's economy. And you find them in agriculture, export trade, general trading, liaison services, tourism, and more recently, ICT. There are salient reasons why the first movers from the UK have invested in our country. I would like to re-emphasize, as the Vice President did say, that we have a long-lasting relationship with the UK. I don't want to echo here that we were once a British colony. It's like a marriage. At some point, if it's not working, you divorce, but you are still great friends. So we do treasure that heritage that we have. We are an English-speaking country. We wear suits like you do, although more recently we are focusing on our textile industry. And we have common cultures. We understand each other. And as the Vice President said, the country of reference for most Ghanaians, if you mention abroad, is UK. In fact, we've changed the pronunciation of London to London to make it even more, street savvy. So you are naturally our partners, as the Honorable Graham Stewart said. You naturally should be our partners. And I must say that over the past 4 or 5 decades, we've seen a little bit of a slide down because we've taken it for granted. But we don't want to take it for granted anymore. And that is why today we are having this session. We want to highlight first the opportunities, but we also want to remind ourselves that we have a natural affinity towards each other that we need to exploit. And therefore, it's very important that even as we look at the opportunities, because opportunity is everything, and how you work it is another thing. Even as we look at the opportunities, be reminded that if you are British, you are likely to find speed in Ghana much more than in any other place, because we know you know us. So let me talk about a few of the Ghana priority areas that we've seen some activity with British investors, with our investors. And I'll start with education. In fact, I was pretty surprised when I was told by the British High Commissioner in Accra last year that the UK had pumped over $1 billion into education in Ghana. And that is significant. But there's more opportunity. There's more opportunity in developing education as an asset class in investment. And we are seeing that. Indeed, my own son is in a British affiliated school in Ghana, Lancaster University, fast becoming one of the best universities in Ghana. So even in the education space, there is room for investment, because education is foundational to our transforming our economy from one predicated on the export of raw materials and resources into one of value added. And therefore, we still think that education is a very important asset class for investment. And already we have a population of which a good 60% are below the ages of 35 years, but are literate in English. The impetus of the government of Ghana's free secondary school drive is to deliver an even bigger pool of educated, literate, and entrepreneurial workforce capable of being trained and employed, as well as training and employing others. That is foundational to us. So we believe that we do have a significant value addition by investments in education. Because once you invest in education, what you realize is that the other sectors will open out for you. And let me tell you an anecdotal story. I was speaking with a big player in the global medical technology space. and they are already operational in Ghana, and maybe I should say the name here, it's GE. And GE had in mind to set up a training school for medical technicians in Ghana. So I asked them, what has made you change your model of selling CT scans and MRIs, etc., etc.? And they said, well, very simple. When you start to train people and you train them with our brand name and our equipment, what you are really doing is that in the future you are selling our business to the economy. And I thought that was a very smart and clever thing to do. So I would entreat you to follow that model because it does work. The opportunity is simple for us. Ghana is a long-term play for most investors, for almost every investor. We want to position ourselves as a long-term play because I've told you that we want to position ourselves as the best place to do business in Africa. And we do mean it. And our government's commitment to Ghana Beyond Aid is predicated first on the following. So let me just go through a few of them. And one has been mentioned and spoken about by the Vice President and the Governor of the Central Bank. That is a stable macroeconomic environment. We've seen real GDP growth of 3.7 in 2016 reversed to 8.5% at the end of 2017, the first year in government of this government. An exchange rate depreciation of 15.4% also reversed. And this year, correct me if I'm right, Governor, I think the cedi has only depreciated by 7%. But as he explained, it's not because of what we haven't done. It's because of what the rest of the world has done. and so we are still being solid Joes on the track. And we believe that we will do the things that we intend to do. Even more exciting is that in the turmoil of all these things happening, and in the problems that we've seen with Argentina and Turkey in their currency, etc., Ghana still managed to get an uptick in its rating, which the Vice President mentioned, from a B- to a B stable long. So we are doing certain things very right, and we are creating a great opportunity for others to do it. I just want you to focus a bit on the slide on the screen, because it highlights what we want to do with our aid, Ghana Beyond Aid initiative. Whilst China is talking about the Belt and Road Initiative, we are talking about the Ghana Beyond Aid. And our Ghana Beyond Aid is to create a wealthy society that is inclusive of both of investors, indigenes, and everybody in Ghana, but with a sustainable plan, which we've seen happening now, and an empowered people. So Ghana Beyond Aid is just not offering a Ghana that decides that I'm going to do things my way, but making sure that we create a wise society, an inclusive wise society that will include you, the investors, as well. I've talked about how we've brought about a stable macroeconomic environment. The Vice President mentioned that we are really looking at an economic plan that is both sustainable and irreversible in the stability and growth that we are engineering. And that is going to create that great business place for investors to come in. Our interests today go beyond just education, like I said, and we are looking at digitization. I won't go on that because the Vice President actually did mention things that have happened and are happening. There's a lot more room. We are even thinking of assembling handsets in Ghana that are already preloaded with services between the citizenry and government to first hasten the decision-making process, but also to facilitate speed in all our agendas. And so if you get one of those phones, you have a simple app to help you pay your tax, you have a simple app to help you pay your utilities. If you want to send questions to be answered, you don't have to go on the radio, you type it on your phone and government will answer before going on radio. So, all these things are to create an efficient society. And I think that a lot of these things are going to improve the business sector as well and enable you, the investor, make good returns. We are also looking to set up the pharmaceutical sector as one of the pivots of our growth. West Africa has over 5 billion market in pharmaceuticals. We think that Ghana is well positioned to be the place, the hub for manufacturing generics and pharmaceuticals. And so as we speak, We are looking at a number of initiatives, a 150 million vaccine plant to do vaccines, and it will be the first in West Africa. And it will be an initiative which will also involve Nigeria because that's our biggest market. We are also looking at a number of pharmaceutical plants, and the average of $50 million is to do the generics. So we are pretty clear on that sector as a pivot. But we are also looking at the integrated aluminum industry as a pivot, which the Vice President spoke about. Beyond that, we are looking at positioning Ghana as an automotive hub. And he did mention a number of the companies that are looking to come in. There are opportunities to establish the Auto Assembly Park as an industrial cluster within the proposed Greater Kumasi Special Economic Zone. The Greater Kumasi Special Economic Zone is going to be an enclave with a number of pivots, and the automotive industry will be one. As he said, as the Vice President said already, we've seen Volkswagen sign in to establish a plant in Ghana. We've seen Sinotruk of China to do trucks. British Leyland also looking to do so. Nissan from Japan. Honda just recently, last week, passed through my office. They want to assemble motorbikes for the West African market. Renault, we are in talks, we started talks with Renault to use Ghana as a hub to manufacture or assemble its cars and spare parts. So I believe that we are pretty clear on where we want to go. But that's not all. The garment and textile industry also will serve as a pivot. Across the EU market, the demand for imported clothing and apparel was estimated in 2017 as 82 million. That's just African fabrics. And most of it came from China, Bangladesh, India, and Vietnam. But I believe that if we are really to focus on that in West Africa, we do have a chance of actually doubling that figure and more. And we know that Kenya has a thriving apparel market, and Ghana can do the same for West Africa. But I believe that perhaps the real hard opportunity also lies in infrastructure. And as I said, Ghana is a long play. But you must come in at the beginning. We do have significant interest of improving our infrastructure, first with an integrated transport plan that integrates rail, road, water, and air. As I speak, we currently have plans to extending our railway by 4,700 kilometers, and we are speaking to quite a number of players in the railway sector, including Liberty from the UK. But to help us facilitate that and complete that 4,700 kilometers that we want to do. That's easily an opportunity north of $21 billion. And so we do look for partnerships that will enable us to do that. But we're also looking to construct over 6,000 kilometers of first-class roads. So beyond the railway, there's also the road infrastructure that will network the country. And we are trying to use the Volta and its ports of Akosombo, Bipe, and all the other places as ports to enable us break out into the sub-region and into Ghana. But I think all this is very important for us because of a policy we have, an industrialization policy we have called the One District, One Factory policy, which is simply building a manufacturing enterprise of sorts, of various levels, in each of the 254 districts that we have nationwide. Now that has two things to its advantage. First of all, it democratizes the economy and creates jobs all over the country, but also creates inputs and outputs into the sub-region. Ghana is bordered on the west by Cote d'Ivoire, on the east by Togo, and on the north by Burkina Faso. A lot of the trade that goes to Burkina Faso passes through Ghana by road. Now, it's more efficient to use water and rail for that. So that's one of the reasons why we are developing that. But also, the fact that we are integrating our transportation system means that with all the 254 districts, access to market and access to services will be facilitated very fast. And we believe that it's an important one to talk about. And I just want to talk about one particular industrial park in a place called Dawa in Ghana. It's a Dawa Industrial Park, where companies like LMI, which is a UK company, established in 1992, has evolved into a highly diversified Ghanaian conglomerate with groundbreaking interests in construction and civil engineering, land holdings and property development, providing affordable and middle-income housing, and international warehousing and logistics, and the provision of utilities. I believe LMI are here today, and it would be good to hear their experience because they are the best ambassadors for us. But I believe that with all these things too, you might be concerned about power. And I'm happy to say that with the problems of power that we had in between 2013 and 2016, a phenomenon that we labeled doomsaw. Doomsaw means on-off, on-off, on-off. We have been able to mitigate that whole problem. And as I speak, we have significantly stable power. But we are not just looking for stable power, we are looking for reliable, cheap power that can fuel our industrial growth. And we are also looking to ensure that we have sustainability there, but also because of that, then move to renewable power. So the importance of wind, solar, biomass have been elevated now, and I'm sure that will present a very good opportunity to investors. We are looking to also bring the off-taker price down from anything that it is today, which is above 16 cents per kilowatt hour, to between 12 and 9 and eventually to 6, because that is what is going to make our industrial drive even more successful. Indeed, as we have unbundled the electricity sector and established an independent regulator that sets tariffs, through their subsidiaries, LMI, again, is the only private licensed electricity distributor company providing services to industrial customers. So they have created a real ecosystem of their industrial investment that has power, it has production, it has manufacturing, and they are also going to the real sector. So it's a good example of what you can do. Indeed, I am told that that's not the only thing they are doing as well. They are providing construction of concrete railway sleepers, a critical component of our ambition to provide the efficient, modern, and cost-effective freight and passenger transportation across Ghana and the sub-region. The company is run by Ghanaians with UK education and experience in civil engineering and has successfully developed 700 acres in the Tema Free Zone enclave. Its satisfied customers in the enclave include global giants such as Cargill and Barry Callebaut, who are in the cocoa sector. In fact, today, LMI Holdings has pivoted off this experience to establish a 2,000-acre planned industrial city at Dawa, which I mentioned earlier. At 50% completion, the new Dawa Industrial Park is strategically positioned in the main Trans-West Africa Highway linking Ghana, Togo, Benin, Nigeria, and Cote d'Ivoire. Now that just tells you that they have bought the plan of government. They've understood it, and they've positioned themselves. And I believe that you should also think of the same. Just don't look at one sector. The Ghana opportunity, like I said, is a major challenge because there are so many things that you can look at. There are so many opportunities, but you can actually put them all together into a comprehensive investment for you. Very often at the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, we do have investors coming in who are looking at maybe the smaller size investments, $5 million, $10 million. And by the time they leave, they are so inspired that they are looking at $500 million, $600 million because we have a plan. And that plan seems to be working very well. In November this month, LMI Holdings will inaugurate its 132 mega MVA capacity substation tied into the transmission infrastructure and network of Ghana. It is part of a 300-acre energy plant designed to host power plants, petroleum and gas tanks along the the coast of Dawa, outside of Tema and with our capital. That just tells you that there is a broader plan for them. We are looking at industrial parks in 9 other regions of Ghana, very much like the Dawa industrial region. So we'll be very happy to talk to potential investors here. GIPC has a desk here, and we'll be hoping that you sign up, that we can discuss some of these things. like the Dawa City, the others, let me just give a few examples. The other industrial parks, which are all private sector developed, are Apollonia City in the Greater Accra area, which is a 60-acre Silicon Accra Park. We're doing a Silicon Accra Park for technology. And the 405-acre West Park Industrial Estate in the Western region for the oil and gas industry. There are two others in a PPD structure, including the 5,000 acres in the Greater Kumasi Industrial City in Ashanti. That is where the automotive industry is going to start. And we are seeking investments to close sites such as the 3,200-acre Shama Industrial Zone in the Western region of Ghana for agriculture and value added. Ladies and gentlemen, I also spoke about reforms which are important to our investment drive. And Bank of Ghana has engaged in some significant reforms. They've cleaned up and sanitized the banking sector. At the investment level too, we are trying to create an opportunity that serves both the foreign investor and the indigenous domestic investor. And so we are engaged in partnership with all our stakeholders. An important discourse to ensure that we remove the barriers to investment, but also facilitate our ambition of making Ghana the best place to do business in Africa. We believe that as the world is dynamic and a constant global changing global world, we make this process dynamic. But I can assure you that even as we speak, without some of those reforms done, we are ready and Ghana is ready. I'll conclude by saying that we do have a great story to tell. And we shall keep telling that story. We've had many, testimonies from different people who have come through Ghana. In fact, I have to say last year my Christmas was almost ruined because in the 2 weeks leading to Christmas, we had 8 European heads of state come through and one from an Arab country, all the way on to the 24th of December. But I was happy to be there because it gave me the signaling that Ghana is really ready and we are ready to talk to partners, both international and in the private sector. And indeed, we would offer you what you believe will be an acceptable return on your investments, but prepare to play long in an exciting market. So we invite you all to join us in this conference. The panels will be here. We'll discuss some of the very interesting things. I think I want to just focus a second on this slide with our president. And he said that he wanted to build an economy that is not dependent on charity. The vice president focused on that a bit. We don't want charity. We want partnerships. We want linkages. So even as you come to Ghana as a foreign direct investor, look for local partnerships because it will help you negotiate the nuances of the market and create opportunities for you that you probably didn't have before. But we'll use proper management, and that has been highlighted once again by the Vice President, that we are a country that is tackling some of the administrative bottlenecks that we have, like corruption, like bureaucracy, through our various reforms. And then we'll manage our resources very well by transforming from a country that is exporting raw materials and resources into one of value added. I just want to give you an example of one of the motivations why we think that we should go into value added economy. Because that is where the money is. If you look at Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire, we virtually control 65% of the cocoa bean industry, 65%. But on a year-on-year basis, that's a maximum, or at most, a $15 billion return. If you look at the chocolate industry alone, that is easily a $120 billion economy globally and yearly. Where do you think we should be? It's a no-brainer. We have to be up in that 120 billion, not stuck to the 10, 15 billion. And that is the approach we are taking with all our industries. I can give you various examples, like bauxite. When taken out as ore, is $60 per ton. When processed, $6,000 per ton. Why should we be stuck at the $60 place? But in outlining all these, we want you to be a partner in this our process, and this our growth plan. It's exciting. We are excited to do it, and we are in a hurry. So thank you very much for coming here today, and we look forward to engaging with you. Thank you very much.